بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. بشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن سهلا إذا شئت آمين. You can still hear me? Okay, cool. So we were at, I put a note that we'll be starting from the discussion in Surah Abasa, about our Prophet's sinless. But there is one discussion that we skipped, which was at the end, the last point in Surah Al-Nazi'at. Some Orientalists say that this surah is a perfect example of the incoherence of the Quran. And so what are some examples in the surah which show that there is a sort of literary miracle that is taking place? So there was one main thing, which was like the theme of the surah and how it does tie together, which is what I was going for with that question. And then there was a whole bunch of other smaller things that could also suffice too. But I guess I'll just mention the main thing, which was that if we look at the surah, pretty much it talks about in the beginning. Okay, we divide it up into 6 parts or 4 parts, whatever. The beginning and the end both talk about akhirah. They both talk about how qulubu yawma idhin wajifa and other descriptions of the Day of Judgment. And then at the end, they start it's when the disbelievers ask Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, يسألونك عن الساعة أيان مرساها, like they ask regarding the hour, when is it really gonna manifest, and all those things. So there's mention of the Day of Judgment in both the beginning and the end of the surah, and in the middle we see from ayah 16 onwards. Sorry, ayah 16 onwards we see the incident of Musa alayhi salam and Fir'aun, and then immediately it goes to Antum ashaddu khalqan, regarding the Antum referring to the Quraysh, are you all, and so on, and how the surah plays out. So what we see here is that we see a mention of the future, then we see a mention of the past, then we see that fourth part, Antum ashaddu khalqan, is talking about the present. So it's saying that those of you in the present must learn from your past, story of Fir'aun, in order to prepare yourself for the future. Okay, so that's what I was going for with that question. Not sure why I highlighted the whole Hujjatul Hadith thing. Maybe that might have been a mistake. Was there any questions regarding the Hujjatul Hadith thing that maybe I was supposed to? No? I think we were just talking about like what is Khabar Wahid, what is Mutawatir, and all those things. And this is an important discussion. I know there are some English works on this whole concept of why the Prophet ﷺ's sayings and his speech has been preserved. So maybe I could share that after this class, inshallah, onto the group chat. Okay, anyways, there's no questions regarding any of the stuff before. We can get started with where we're at today, which is our Prophet sinless. Okay. So I think we had read this from, we read a passage from Dawl al-Ma'ali, which is like a beginner, intermediate, almost text of Maturidi Kalam by Mullah Ali Qari. It's his Dawl al-Ma'ali is his Sharh on Bad'u al-Amali by Allama Ushi. I think that's how you pronounce it. وَإِنَّ الْأَنْبِيَاءَ لَفِي أَمَانٍ عَنِ الْعِصْيَانِ عَمْدًا وَالْإِعْزَالِ. It says that indeed the messengers are in aman. They are trustworthy. They are protected عن الإصيان. They are protected from any sort of isyan, which he'll define in the Sharh. Amdan wa ni'izali. From they're protected from committing any sin intentionally. Then he says al-isyan mukhalafatul amri qasdan. So isyan, how does he define isyan? He says that isyan is to go against a command of whoever's the authority intentionally. Bi khilafi zalla, as opposed to a lapse in judgment, or perhaps like a small mistake that might have occurred. فإنها مخالفة الأمر سهوا, because zalla, a lapse, is just you do go against the authority, but it's not intentionally. فالأنبياء عليهم السلام معصومون عن أنواع الكفر مطلقا قبل البعثة وبعدها بالإجماع. And then he says that all of the messengers, they are ma'soom, they are protected. It's impossible for them to be involved in any type of kufr, mutlaqan, any type of kufr, قبل البعثة وبعدها بالإجماع. before they became a prophet, before they received their prophethood, and after they received their prophethood. And this is according to the consensus of all scholars. وكذا عن سائر الكبائر عمدا باتفاق العلماء المعتبرين. And he says that likewise they're also protected from all the major sins, from committing any major sins intentionally, باتفاق العلماء المعتبرين, according to all the like the legit scholars. I'm assuming probably saying al-ulama al-mu'tabarin to exclude like the heretical groups and stuff. محله بعد البعثة. Okay, let's see what else. I think this, we all know this. We don't really need to go into so much detail. I do want to get through quite a bit today, inshallah. If there's any questions regarding that, we could talk more about it. But I'm pretty sure we're good on that topic, right? I don't know. Did this topic come up in Divine Reality? Probably. No, I don't.
I don't think we did it in Divine Reality, but I think we covered it at some point.
In Tahawiyah, maybe? Most likely Tahawiyah, right? Okay, inshallah. If there's any question on that, feel free to just message on the group or message me, inshallah. How do we interpret verses which make it seem that the Prophet ﷺ did sin? Okay, we can skip that one, honestly. Okay, Surah Al-Takwid. Surah Al-Takwid. إِذَا الشَّمْسُ كُوِّرَتْ. What is a, okay, this is for you guys. I can't answer this. Okay, what is a shart and a jawab al-shart? Likewise, what is a qasam and a jawab al-qasam? Any volunteers? I don't feel sick. I just have like this nasty cough. I don't have like a fever or a headache or anything. Just have this weird probably like a virus or something. What is a shart and a jawab al-shart? Alright, so in Surah Takwir, yeah. We see that there's إِذَا الشَّمْسُ كُوِّرَتْ. Shart, you guys, just if we translate it simply, it's just a condition, right? If X, then Y. That's what's taking place here. إِذَا الشَّمْسُ كُوِّرَتْ وَإِذَا النُّجُومُ انكَدَرَتْ وَإِذَا الْجِبَالُ سُيِّرَتْ. All these things are the shara'it, the shurut. And then the jawab al-shart is, if we go all the way to number 14. Once all these things happen, وَإِذَا الصُّحُفُ نُشِرَتْ وَإِذَا السَّمَاءُ كُشِطَتْ, once the sky is skinned, وَإِذَا الْجَحِيمُ سُعِرَتْ, and the hellfire is set ablaze, وَإِذَا الْجَنَّةُ its fire is like, reaching really, really, really high, وَإِذَا الْجَنَّةُ أُزْلِفَتْ, and Jannah is brought near. Once all of these conditions, once these X's take place, Y will take place, which is عَلِمَتْ نَفْسٌ مَا أَحْضَرَتْ. That's that. Jawab al-qasam is actually right after this. فلا أقسم بالخنس الجوار الكنس والليل إذا عسعس والصبح إذا تنفس. So of course, when you take a qasam, for example, with wow, ba, ta, those are the three huruf al-qasam. You say billahi, wallahi, tallahi, right? فلا أقسم بالخنس الجواريل. So it makes the next maqsum alayh. I think that might be the term, I'm not exactly sure. But it makes that into the state of jar. So we see bil khunnasi al jawaril, kasra majrur all the way until ayah number 19, which is innahu laqawlu rasulin kareem. This is the jawab al-qasam. Why are we taking the qasam? For what reason is this? The oath, of course, is taken to provide emphasis. We mentioned a few different reasons, like to show anger. Allah Ta'ala is making these things a witness. So he makes all these things a witness. For what reason? What's this, like the main idea, what's the main point that he's driving? إِنَّهُ لَقَوْلُ رَسُولٍ كَرِيمٍ. Interestingly, I think maybe it was Jalalain actually that mentioned that إنه لقول رسول كريم ذي قوة عند ذي العرش مكين مطاع ثم أمين. That's all like one thing, right? You're describing the Rasul, which is Jibreel alayhi salam, and then says وَمَا صَاحِبُكُمْ بِمَجْنُونَ. I thought of this as wow of isti'naf. You guys know what that is? I'm sure you're familiar with this, but you guys just probably don't know the name. Wow isti'naf, it's not like a wow of atf. It's not meant to be like when you say ja'a zaydun wa amrun, right? You're saying you would translate that wow as and. Whereas sometimes like a wow or fa or thumma, sometimes they would come, they might just come, but they're not meant to be like the harf atf, like the previous thing. Like they're just, wow istinaf literally means like it's actually there for the opposite. It's there to show a fasl between the two concepts, between the two ideas. So that's actually what I thought of it as. Whereas I think it was Jalalain. Maybe it was some other tafsir that I was looking into. But he says that this is actually ma'tuf on the ayah number 19 as well. That فَلَا أُقْسِمُ بِالْخُنَّسِ الْجَوَارِ الْكُنَّسِ وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا عَسْعَسَ الصُّبْحِ إِذَا تَنَفَّسَ. The first جواب القسم is the whole إِنَّهُ لَقَوْلُ رَسُولٍ كَرِيمٍ. The second one is, why is Allah Ta'ala taking this oath? وَمَا صَاحِبُكُمْ بِمَجْنُونٍ. You guys, does that make sense? So it is ma'tuf on the, let me just see if it's written here. إِنَّهُ لَقَوْلُ رَسُولٍ كَرِيمٍ. Yeah, right in Jalalain. He says, وَمَا صَاحِبُكُمْ أي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم عطف على إنه إلى آخر المقسم عليه. Oh, مقسم عليه. No, I don't know what I said. مقسوم or maybe. So he says that this وَمَا صَاحِبُكُمْ is actually معطوف to the إنه لقول رسول كريم ayah, which meaning that the oath was taken, the qasam was taken, and these two ideas, the whole إنه لقول رسول كريم regarding Jibreel alayhi salam and regarding Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, both of those are the muqsam alayh. Make sense? Yeah, that's just a random. I wasn't even here. I don't know. Me trying to save time and that stuff like that just comes up. Anyways, okay, so shart, jawab al-shart, qasam, jawab al-qasam, the abortion discussion. So this is something that we didn't cover, which is important. It's a huge topic in America today, right? We did not go over this. The reason this comes up in this surah is because of ayah number 8, وَإِذَا الْمَوْءُودَةُ سُئِلَتْ. So these yellow ones, inshallah, maybe once we're done with this entire doc, we can go back and we'll go over these 3, 4, 5 yellow highlighted ones that I have on the doc. So maybe we can cover that. Maybe, who knows when we're finished, but whenever that is, inshallah, we'll go over the abortion discussion. Maybe just what I can mention right now is that there's two masail actually that one of our teachers had brought up, where he said that people have a really, really wrong understanding as to what exactly the masala is. He said that the abortion discussion, and he also said that the whole do women have to work inside the house? Yani, like, is it necessary for example, like you guys probably heard this, that she doesn't have to like cook or clean and all those different things. Have you guys heard of that? He says that that's definite. That he said both, and then for the abortion thing, people say that it's in Islam, it's okay for women to get abortions. So he says that those are two masail that are just like really, really have been misconstrued to like the max. But the woman working, the woman like being obligated. Sorry, women being obligated to work inside the house. I'm not saying that they're not allowed to work outside. That's a whole separate discussion, right? I'm saying that, are they obligated to do like the cooking and cleaning and stuff like that, like the house chores and stuff like that inside the house. So this came up in our Sahih Muslim class, and he said that according to the Shafi'i madhab, they're not obligated. However, according to the Hanafiya, they are. They would, and the reason that this like confusion kind of takes place is because from like the actual developers of the madhab, like I'm not sure exactly who, like was it Imam Abu Hanifa, was it his students, but they say that she's not obligated to do it. However, they make a condition, and it's pretty much that this is qada'an, not diyanatan. That they're talking about, like, you can't take a woman, like a man wouldn't be able to take his wife to court saying that, hey, she's not doing like X, Y, and Z inside the house, and then the court will not actually rule against her. Like, she's not. I don't know if you guys have. This is like usul ifta type of stuff about like the difference between something being qada and like a ruling in like a court of law, as opposed to something that might be a person might be held accountable for in the akhirah. So the later Hanafis that come, not later Hanafis like like people like Hanafis that are alive today, but like actual like really fundamental scholars inside the madhab itself, like the Ashab al-Takhrij, I believe, they're the ones who extrapolated on the sayings of the developers of the madhab, and they say that so the reason that the developers of the madhab said that she doesn't have to do it is because they're talking about qada'an, they're not talking about diyanatan. Meaning diyanatan is that in the akhirah, a woman can be held accountable. She can be found to be sinful if for not doing the house chores, pretty much. So that's the first thing. That's not even what we're talking about. Again, just going off the rails here. So the abortion thing is that maybe you guys are familiar with it a bit, but it says that in Deen, it's that the ruh comes into we know that the ruh comes into the fetus after 120 days. What's that? That's 4 months, right? 120 days. Hopefully, I'm not mixing up that number. Inshallah, when we actually go through the discussion, I could give a lot more detail, but I'm just giving like a quick. Okay, so and if there is an abortion that takes place, it must take place before the 120 days. So now the question is, in what situations would would abortion be jaiz, according to the fuqaha? So, for example, the examples would be, this is not all of them, but if I remember correctly, again, we'll talk about this in more detail, is that if there is like severe harm to the mother, that she might pass away because of the birth of the child, or if there is like the fetus is just not developing properly, and there's like a huge loss in quality of life. I believe that's also another one. Or if the baby itself will most likely not even make it. So then before the 120 days, only before the 120 days, in those like really really like in like rare situations, would an abortion be jaiz indeed. Again, well, I do want to make sure I'm giving the examples correctly, but and we'll go over in more detail. But a lot of people now, what comes to happen, because they know that there are certain situations in which abortion can be jaiz, then they kind of take it out of proportion and say that, oh, Islam allows abortion. Maybe for the reason of just trying to appeal to like the liberal West and the liberal leftists in America or something like that. I don't know. But that's that. So those are just two masail that inshallah maybe we could talk more in detail about when we get to the end. Yes, Salah, go ahead.
Also, I don't think I heard properly. You said so. You say diyanatan? Was that the word you used?
Yeah, the qada'an and diyanatan.
And diyanatan means that she can be held accountable in the hereafter?
Yeah.
And that is the case with her obligation to work within the home?
Yeah, according to the Hanafi madhab, yeah, she would be obligated diyanatan to do like the housework.
So in like court, in the front of a qadi, like this could be grounds for.
No, that's my point. So qada'an and diyanatan are like the opposites. Qada'an would be in court, she's not obligated to do it. However, in the diyanatan, she would be obligated to do it. So now you're probably asking why how is there even a difference? Like what's the difference between the two? Like maybe I'll just put this with the whole we could talk about this at the end with the abortion discussion, inshallah. What am I typing? Oh, women's obligation to work in the home. Oh yeah. Sorry. Okay, so proper translation of ayahs. You were able to, like, you're still able to like hear me okay there, or was that? Okay, cool. Proper translations of ayahs 15 and 16. I think you guys can answer this one too, inshallah. فلا أقسم بالخنس, I think that's it, right? فلا أقسم بالخنس الجوار الكنس. This was a kind of a tricky one, which is why I wanted you guys to feel free to just shout it out. Anyone? Okay, فلا أقسم بالخنس الجوار الكنس. So Allah Ta'ala is taking an oath by the star that al-khunnas, the one that recedes. Though Allah Ta'ala is taking an oath by that which recedes, referring to the stars. Al-jawari, they're running, flowing. Al-kunnas, and they end up fading away. That's al-jawari al-kunnas. Khunnas is the recedes, and like we said, this is that whole discussion we had about the retrograde and how it looks from our vantage point on Earth, it looks like the orbit of the star makes it look like, or the celestial body makes it look like it's going backwards. But that's just from our vantage point. Al Jawar al Kunnas. And then I think the next question is what I'm about to ask right now is that what is the connection between the qasam taken in ayahs 15 to 18 فلا أقسم بالخنس الجوار الكنس والليل إذا عسعس والصبح إذا تنفس, talking about these celestial bodies and about like the the والليل إذا عسعس والصبح إذا تنفس, when the night it completely covers and the daytime it breaks and it starts to shine. What does that have to do with? What does that have anything to do with? إنه لقول رسول كريم. What does that have anything to do with? وما صاحبكم بمجنون. We said that this is because that the reason Allah Ta'ala in a few instances, I think there was like another three or four that I had mentioned. Allah Ta'ala, let me just see. So, okay, let me just read my notes. So, فَلَا أُقْسِمُ بِالْخُنَّسِ وَالْجَوَارِ الْكُنَّسِ, to the end. This is referring to what we call retrograde motion. There's planets and stars that seem to go out of orbit, but that's due to our vantage point here on Earth. So similarly, it is when Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, when he went to the cave of Hira and he got this revelation and he came back different, it's not that he changed in any way. Rather, it's just your vantage point is skewed. But really, in reality, it's still the same. It's still the same sahib that you guys had, that you guys have been living with for the past 40 plus years. So it's that same individual who you guys know to be trustworthy. وَمَا صَاحِبُكُمْ, right? It's not like Allah Ta'ala says وَمَا. It's not, Allah Ta'ala specifically used sahib because it means like an intimate, close individual that you know. So similar, like just like how you guys all know that he's a trustworthy individual, he's an honest individual. That this is that individual that you should recognize is the one that's claiming prophethood. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Explain the sifat of Jibreel alayhi salam. We can skip this one. I think just maybe basically the إنه لقول رسول كريم ذي قوة عند ذي العرش مكين مطاع. All this pretty much shows that Jibreel alayhi salam is someone who is ثم أمين, sorry, that he's of course he's because he's the middleman, quote unquote, between Allah Ta'ala and Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and he's the one that carries the message, he's the one that delivers the message. He himself is not someone who's going to be corrupted. He's not someone who's going to be overpowered by whatever other forces are out there that's trying to taint the message that he's been sent with. That's the main point that's being driven there. How does the pagan belief of jinns being a reliable source of information tie into the surah? Oh my. Okay, so basically the وَمَا هُوَ بِقَوْلِ شَيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ. There's another point. Hold up. Pretty much the claim that they would make against Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is that he's getting this from the jinns, and this is something that they had experiences with before, the people of the peninsula, the Arabian Peninsula. So they thought this is their claim that he's just getting these from the jinns, or he's making it from, or he's gone crazy himself, or things like that. So this surah is a difa, and it's a defense of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam from that attack. Ayah number 29, the last ayah. وَمَا تَشَاءُونَ إِلَّا أَن يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ رَبُّ الْعَالَمِينَ. And you do not wish anything except that Allah Ta'ala, the Lord of the world, wishes it for you. That's the whole free will discussion, which itself is very, very long. I don't think we talked about this. So I have that highlighted in yellow. Inshallah, we can come back to it at the end. What is the theme of this surah? Is there an ayah or ayahs that highlight this? The theme of this surah is, I think I had a one word for it, but it's slipping my mind. Maybe let's get back to this and when we compare this surah and the next surah, inshallah. Surah Takween, Surah Infitar. Oh, okay. The first question of this surah, this one is Surah Infitar. These two surahs start very similar. Why are they then two separate surahs? Is there any significance of the connotation of the words which ties into the larger themes of the surahs? You guys know what I'm referring to here, or is this just like a whole bunch of Mumbo jumbo. Excuse me. Okay, so this first surah, Surah Al-Takwir, I guess we could just answer that last question too. Is it takes all these oaths on, it focuses on the light and dark. إذا الشمس كورت وإذا النجوم. So we're talking about the sun. Then we're talking about this. We're talking about the stars. We're talking about what else is there? Um, وإذا الموءودة سئلت, when the female child is buried alive in the earth, and then she just left there to die. So it's talking about lightness and darkness. So, and then later on in the surah we start talking about Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam and how his prophecy is no joke. So this reflects, no pun intended, the beginning of the surah as well, because Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his revelation is the light that came to this world. So that's why it matches up with the beginning of the surah. The Surah Al-Infitar is talking about movement and things moving from their spots. So we see إِذَا السَّمَاءُ انْفَطَرَتْ وَإِذَا الْكَوَاكِبُ انْتَثَرَتْ. When the sky, it begins to, how do we translate? It splits, it just starts cracking. وَإِذَا الْكَوَاكِبُ انْتَثَرَتْ. And when the stars, they begin to just kind of scatter. They just get all like they're blown away almost. So again, the beginning part is talking. The first surah of Surah Al-Takwir is talking about the light and darkness, which is why it talks about the light that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam came with. Now this surah is talking about movement, which is why these words of infatarat and intatharat are more appropriate for this theme of movement. And then we see Ya ayyuhal insanu ma gharraka bi rabbika al-kareem. I think that was the next point. What is the significance of the usage of the words Rabbika and Al-Kareem? Those are names of Allah Ta'ala. Allah Ta'ala could have used any other names though. However, we see that Ya ayyuhal insanu ma gharraka. O mankind, O people, what deceived you from your noble and benevolent Lord, Master. So the reason that Rabbika is used is because when you say master, it automatically you think of slave. So it shows us the relationship that we have with Allah Ta'ala and how messed up it is, the fact that we are becoming deceived by the tricks of shaitan. And then Allah Ta'ala, He doesn't just say Ma gharraka bi rabbik. He could have stopped there, that would have been a complete sentence, right? But He says Al-Kareem. So now Allah Ta'ala is alluding to the fact that is it because Allah Ta'ala doesn't just automatically destroy us or as soon as we commit a sin? Is it because that He's so noble and He's so generous? The fact that whenever we lie, it's not like a lightning bolt just like comes out of the sky and zaps our tongue, or if we steal, like our hand just gets paralyzed or something. So this is the significance of the word Al-Kareem, that we shouldn't think that, oh, Allah Ta'ala is not punishing me now. Maybe a person could, like, they can have all sorts of thoughts of inappropriate and almost kufri, definitely kufri thoughts as well. That person thinks that maybe Allah Ta'ala isn't going to punish me. Maybe Allah Ta'ala doesn't have the power. Then, these of course lead to bigger and bigger things. That's the significance of Rabbika and Al-Kareem. What is the theme of this surah? Is there an ayah that highlights this? So like we said, it's the theme of movement and inqilab, that was the word, of things just going like topsy-turvy, a complete 180. Okay, so now, and then the this is from my own side, but is there an ayah that highlights this? Is what I had said is that it's most probably كَلَّا بَلْ تُكَذِّبُونَ. Actually, you can even say مَا غَرَّكَ بِرَبِّكَ الْكَرِيمِ. It's like we just said, like you have this amazing, honorable, noble Lord, and you're going 180. You're supposed to be going this direction towards this Lord, but which way are you going? You're going the other way. So again, this whole inqilab, this idea of how the cosmos in the beginning of the surah, we said, is going to be complete inqilab. These what we think of like these um, amazing and like fixated stars that are in the sky. They're going to start dropping. The sky that's above us, it's going to start just going into a million different directions. All these things are going to start going in all different directions. Similarly, insan has also gone in the wrong direction. So that's the ayah that kind of highlights the entire surah. Surah Mutaffifin. How does this surah tie with the previous? I don't think I mentioned this. It's not that long. Maybe I could just mention it now. We see that Surah Al-Takwir, إذا الشمس كورت, Surah Al-Infitar, إذا السماء انفطرت, and then you have Surah Al-Mutaffifin, and then you have إذا السماء انشقت. Those three surahs, surahs 1, 2, and 4 of my list that I just gave, those are all very, very, very similar, right? And then you just have Mutaffifin that just comes in the middle. What is the purpose of Sorry. What is the purpose of this? Because you could have just had all the three similar surahs together, right? Okay, so the reason is that when I heard this, it was pretty deep, mashallah. That, for example, in Surah Takwir we have وَإِذَا الْمَوْءُودَةُ سُئِلَتْ, and now in Surah Mutaffifin we have وَيْلٌ لِلْمُطَفِّفِينَ الَّذِينَ إِذَا اكْتَالُوا عَلَى النَّاسِ يَسْتَوْفُونَ. That we see that the Makki Quran wasn't all just about like i'tiqadi stuff, imani stuff. Rather, one of the missions of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam is what? It's to correct the society that he's in. So this is showing us like not just you can't just be a Muslim for yourself. Of course, that's number one, but you also have to be someone who's going to be addressing the ills of the society, and that's a part of the imaniyat as well, which is why it's right in the middle between this grouping of surahs which are very, very similar. Does that make sense? Great. Okay. The masala of ru'yatullah. Shoot. Maybe I could find it in here. I was trying to have everything prepared beforehand so I don't just like waste time in the middle. And sorry guys. I had a bookmark on the page of the whole where the prophets are sinless portion, but I don't know why I didn't put another bookmark in this discussion. Okay, pretty much that we see that what ayah number is that? Ayah number 15. Let's just do this freehand, I guess. Ayah number 15, it says, كَلَّا إِنَّهُمْ عَنْ رَبِّهِمْ يَوْمَئِذٍ لَمَحْجُوبُونَ. That on that day, the disbelievers will be veiled from they'll be mahjub, they'll be veiled from seeing their Lord. So from this, I believe it was Imam Shafi'i who says that this ayah is a proof that that the believers and the awliya, the Muslims, will be able to see Allah Ta'ala on the Day of Judgment. Now the ishqal by the Mu'tazila and I'm sure some other groups is that's impossible. That's logically impossible for Allah Ta'ala to be seen. Why? Because then it would necessitate that he has a body, that he has all the other like baggage that comes with that, right? He has sides, and of course we ourselves admit that Allah Ta'ala, he doesn't have a body. We ourselves admit Allah Ta'ala, he's khalin and jihad sit. He doesn't have he doesn't have a front, a back, a right and a left, a bottom, a top. Right? Allah Ta'ala, he's free from all those things. So now how do we what's the word? Bring those two together. They seem like almost opposite beliefs. The thing is, just right okay, off the bat is that we can say that this is something that's most definitely been established in our deen. Allah Ta'ala says, Surah Al-Qiyamah, وَجُوهٌ يَوْمَئِذٍ نَاظِرَةٌ إِلَىٰ رَبِّهَا نَاظِرَةٌ. Ayahs number 22 and 23 from Surah Al-Qiyamah. That is, all faces on that day shall be radiant, shall be glistening. إِلَىٰ رَبِّهَا نَاظِرَةٌ. Towards their Lord they shall be looking. Additionally, we find a lot of narrations of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam regarding this topic of ru'yatullah, about how people, where the Sahaba, they asked how this is going to take place. The Sahaba, they asked how this is going to take place. So he told them, do any of you fight over seeing the full moon when it's up above you at nighttime? And they said that no. So similarly, you guys will all be able to see Allah Ta'ala. So of course, we're not affirming that Allah Ta'ala has the six sides, like I said, or we're not affirming that Allah Ta'ala has a body. We're saying that because Allah Ta'ala said it's going to happen in a way that He deems it's going to happen. Make sense? That's how you compromise, or that word is still slipping my mind, but that's how you would be able to put those two ideas together. You can read, I think I sent the screenshots from Tahawiyah as well. A little voice crack right there, I don't know what that was. From Tahawiyah, I think there was like 3, 4, 5 screenshots that I had sent. Inshallah, if you can read more about it there as well. Like I said, this is something that's definitely been established from not just from the Quran, but from a lot of hadith as well. Let's see if maybe somebody did mention something. Sorry, one sec. Okay, it's fine. All right. Ayah 26. وفي ذلك فليتنافس المتنافسون. Healthy competition. This is something that it's not really a question, but it's just something that we should keep in mind that it is good to have competition in doing good deeds. Like I remember a couple of years ago, like in I'tikaf, we were trying to compete on who could do the most khatams over here. I don't know. Are you guys familiar with Mulana Umar Faruqi? He's a takhassus student. He graduated the year before me. So mashallah, like this guy would like read like 20, 18, 20, 21 hours a day. Okay. And he'd be finishing, mashallah, just be like no exaggeration, a khatam and a little bit more than a khatam a day. Okay, so I think in the 10 days he did like 11 khatams, maybe at least ten, did 11 khatams. Like I show up on the first day of itikaf, it's like right before Maghrib. He's like, "Yeah, I'm on 15th right now." I'm like, "Dude, it's no fair. You already got it." And then what's crazy is that, mashallah, after itikaf was over, me and him ended up just like going into. We ended up praying at the same place near our house. He lives in like 30 minutes away from me, and we ended up going to this place right here. And then like still just sitting in like the Eidgah, still just reading Quran on his phone, mashallah. So yeah, just you, mashallah, went really, really, really crazy over there. But yeah. Anyways, yeah. But the point I wanted to make was that this, as we know, إنما الأعمال بالنيات, right? Healthy competition is good. وفي ذلك فليتنافس المتنافسون. That we should encourage each other by competing, but of course, you don't want this to become anything that changes the niyyah. You don't want to do it for recognition, for fame, for like that respect of peers or whatever else can come along with it. It's very, very important to make sure that the niyyah is clean. And sometimes this could happen in madrasa, it could happen in anything really. That you end up just people want to get first place in their class, not because they genuinely want their in, but they might be like a little something of like a kibr over there, like an arrogance or an ostentation and pride that's hidden deep inside there. Okay, that's that. Levels in paradise. I think this is from the ayah. عَيْنًا يَشْرَبُ بِهَا الْمُقَرَّبُونَ. That the abrar, as we see, that they'll have to drink from the يسقون من رحيق مختوم ختامه مسك ومزاجه من تسنيم. So those are talking about the drink that the abrar will have, that they'll have a really amazing drink of Jannah, and in it will be a little bit of tasneem, but it'll be like a little mixture of tasneem that's mixed into their drink for the abrar. But the ayna yashrabu biha al-muqarrabun, but the muqarrabun will have access to the spring that this tasneem comes out of, and they'll be able to just drink from it directly. Meaning they won't just get a little bit that's mixed into something else. They'll get the actual 100% pure tasneem to drink. So this shows that there is tafawut al-darajat, that there is levels in Jannah, there is levels between pious people as well. Of course, the most highest being the Anbiya alayhim salatu wassalam, and then you have the Sahaba, and of course, even like and out of all them, the number one is from the Sahaba. It's Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala, and the greatest individual bil ittifaq is to walk this earth after all the prophets is Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala. So, but the thing is, even Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala, as great as he is, as amazing as he is, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he is nothing compared to even the lowest prophets. Obviously there's a we don't know how many prophets there were. Let's just pick a random number. If you say that there was like 1,000, 100,000, whatever, whoever that, if you had to put all those 100,000 prophets into a list of number one being Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then you go all the way down and you get to 100,000, that 100,000 level, or whoever that last prophet is on the list, and of course I'm not trying to like put that individual down or anything, alayhi salam, but he's way beyond Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu. Okay, so that's just something important to know. Surah Al-Inshiqaq. Of course, I'm not trying to like this or come at and whoever that prophet may be, or Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu. Of course not, definitely, na'udhu billah from that. We definitely don't want to get involved with um, shaming, discrediting, or being offensive towards these awliya of Allah Ta'ala. But that's just something to know in terms of our i'tiqad, that no individual can come close to a prophet. Shurut al-inshiqaq. Um, What is the theme? Okay, let's talk about that last. Let me highlight this point. I will get to it last. Okay. Why is there no jawab al-shart? So we see إذا السماء انشق. If X happens, then we would expect then Y will happen, right? إذا السماء انشقت وأذنت لربها وقت وإذا الأرض مدت وألقت ما فيها وتخلت وأذنت لربها وحقت, and then there's no like علمت نفس ما أحضرت علمت نفس ما قدمت وأخرت, right? That was mentioned in the two surahs that are similar to this. You guys remember why there was no Jawab al-Shart mentioned? Yeah. After reading this much Quran, after reading from whether it be 30th or from the beginning of the Quran, a person should know what the Jawab al-Shart is, that when the sky starts to just completely get decimated and it fulfills the command of its Lord, and same thing with the earth, and if then what's going to happen? Well, it's not mentioned because you should know what's going to happen. Then the people will start recognizing that they're going to be standing in front of Allah Ta'ala very, very soon. So ayah number 6. يا أيها الإنسان إنك كادح إلى ربك كدحا فملاقيه. Oh man, indeed you are in a constant toil. كادح ism fa'il, right? This actually hits one of the miscellaneous things that I have at the bottom of the doc. استمرار الأسماء, that إنك تكدح. Can't say any of the huruf halqiyya right now. تكدح, that you are. If Allah Ta'ala says إنك تكدح, that you are, I think that's the fi'l, that's the bab of the, I think, that you are currently in a toil. Allah Ta'ala does not say the fi'l, rather He says the ism fa'il, kadihun, right? Fa'il, kadih. So Allah, He's saying the benefit of the ism is that it gives the benefit of in a constant toil. You are someone who has this attribute, da'iman. You have this attribute like with you at all times. You're in a constant toil, in a constant labor, a constant struggle. Ila rabbik, towards your Lord, towards the obedience of your Lord. Kadahan, the maful mutlaq for emphasis. فَمُلَاقِي, and you shall meet it. فَمُلَاقِي, you are going to meet it. That ha could either be referring to you're going to meet your Lord, Rabbika, or it could be kadhan, or it could be you're going to one day meet your the a'mal that you did, that which you toiled for, all your deeds. And of course we know that there's ayat that support both. I mean, obviously. Okay, so that's that. Where are we at? Then another thing that I just wanted to mention was that a Muslim's attitude is not of complacency. A lot of, like, especially in our like today, we see a lot of Muslims, not just Muslims, like pretty much so many youth and people of all ages that are struggling with like mental health and depression and stuff like that. And I mean, it's something that we should recognize, that this is a test from Allah Ta'ala, and that we ask that Allah Ta'ala cure those individuals who are involved, that have been afflicted with this, and He allowed them to pass this test that He's given them. But this is the reality of life. I mean, one of the main things that people kind of get like depressed about or have a lot of anxiety about is that, you know, they have all these things to do, they just get stressed out with life and so on and so forth, right? This is what Allah Ta'ala is telling us. This is just the reality of life, is that we are in a constant struggle and a constant toil. But the good thing is that if we make sure to live our life with in obedience to the Sharia, if we make sure to obey the laws that Allah Ta'ala and His Messenger of Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam have put forth before us, then for what reason would we not get into Jannah? For what reason would we not have the ultimate success? Yeah, a Muslim's attitude is not of complacency. I think what I also mentioned here was the attitude of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala an and Umar radiallahu ta'ala an. Where's that at? I really like the Umar radiallahu ta'ala an's thing where he said that لو نادى مناد يوم القيامة, that if there was a like an angel that called out on the day of judgment that every single individual is going into Jannah except for one person, لظننت أنه ابن الخطاب. Then Umar radiallahu anh, he says that I fear that I would be that one person that's not going to Jannah, whereas everyone else is. And then he also says that, yeah, you're good, Ihtiram, go ahead. وإياكم, no problem. And then he says that if there was an angel to call out that, everyone's going to Jannah except for one person, everyone's going to Jahannam except for one person, then he also says that he has the hope that one individual can be, would be me. That's what Umar bin Khattab is saying. This is showing that the attitude is that the Muslim is that we have to be بين الخوف والرجاء. الإيمان بين الخوف والرجاء. That we have fear of Allah Ta'ala while at the same time having hope in His mercy and in His love. And one more story. Let me find it quick. Sorry. Okay, that's fine. So this is not the attitude of the Sahaba. We read this ayah and think that we're good. The ayah, wrong place, small fault. Okay, so but basically the reason being is that we see that فَسَوْفَ يُحَاسِبُ حِسَابًا يَسِيرًا. It talks about the people that are going to enter the Jannah and have like a really easy time. Those people who believed in Allah Ta'ala and did good deeds. We may think that, hey, I believe in Allah Ta'ala. I do some good deeds here and there. But we should never just assume that that's like our automatic ticket to Jannah. The attitude of Sahaba definitely wasn't that. They had so much fear of Allah Ta'ala, which is something that we need to bring in our life as well. And at the same time, we see that ayah number first, the ayah that talks about doing the work, that's the ayah that's mentioned first. Then the ayah is about, the reward and punishment of the hereafter are mentioned. So the work definitely comes first. The narration about Hisab. Sorry. The narration about Hisab and Yasira in ayah number 8. سوف يحاسب حسابا يسيرا. I just wanted to read that out again. One sec, let me just find it here. Mentioned in the Hashia of Safa on page 522. المراد بالحساب اليسير في الآية هو العارض. That the meaning of Hisab Yasir, an easy reckoning, is that that the angels who are like looking through your deeds, when the person who's gonna be given a Hisab and Yasira, when he like walks up to the angel, he gets to the front of the line, the angel, they're just like, they don't even look at his book, they're just like, you know what, just go ahead, just go into Jannah. Meaning that they just let him pass. That's Hisab and Yasira. Once من حوسب عذب. أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال من حوسب عذب. That the individual who the angels are like, wait, hold up, don't go, let me take a look at your book. That once they even say that, once they're like, hey, we just want to look at one or two things, it's game over. Then they're gonna do a complete sweep of everything. So either they're gonna like go into 110% of your history, or they're gonna look at 0%, and it's just gonna be like, go ahead, we'll let you pass. فقالت عائشة رضي الله تعالى عنها: أوليس الله عز وجل يقول فسوف يحاسب حسابا يسيرا؟ فقال: إنما ذلك العرض ولكن من نوقش الحساب عذب. رواه البخاري. في الحديث أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم said, رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: إن الله يدني العبد يوم القيامة حتى يضع كفنه عليه فيقول له فعلت كذا وكذا ويعدد عليه ذنوبه ثم يقول له سترتها عليك في الدنيا وأنا أغفرها لك اليوم. هذا هو المراد بالحساب اليسير. So he says that, he mentions that narration that I just said, that the people who have Hisab and Yasir, they're not even gonna get their book looked. They're not gonna get their deeds looked at. They're just gonna get like straight entrance into Jannah. Whereas the people who get stopped and the angels ask for their deeds and to look at the book of their deeds, those are the people that are just they're done for. Another narration is that mentions that Allah Ta'ala on the Day of Judgment, He's gonna bring a slave close to Him, and He's gonna talk to him in private, and Allah Ta'ala is gonna say, فَعَلْتَ كَذَا وَكَذَا. You did this bad deed, you did this bad deed, and then وَيُعَدِّدُ عَلَيْهِ ذُنُوبَهُ. He's gonna start counting all of his sins right in front of this, like in this one-on-one conversation that this individual is having with Allah Ta'ala. Then you're gonna say, سَتَرْتُهَا عَلَيْكَ فِي الدُّنْيا. I concealed all these bad deeds that you were committing in secret. I didn't let anyone find out about them while you were in this world. وَأَغْفِرُهَا لَكَ الْيَوْمِ. I didn't let anyone find out about them. All these evil deeds that you did while you were living in the world. There's no way I'm gonna let people find out about it right now on this day. I'm gonna forgive you for all these evil deeds that you did on this day. Okay. Um, 16 to 19. Probably maybe one or two more points we can go through. Sorry. So 16 to 19 is فلا أقسم بالشفق والليل وما وسق والقمر إذا اتسق لتركبن طبقا عن طبق. So we have the qasam فلا أقسم بالشفق والليل وما وسق والقمر إذا اتسق. That is 16 to 19 of surah. Let's just the translation. No, but I do swear by the twilight, بالشفق والليل وما وسق, and by the night. Allah Ta'ala takes an oath by the night and that which it enshrouds and completely covers. وَالْقَمَرِ إِذَا اتَّسَقَ, and the moon when it becomes full and it goes through its cycle. لَتَرْكَبُنَّ طَبَقًا عَنْ طَبَقٍ, you shall most surely mount, from rakiba, rukub, mount through stage upon stage. Yani, go from your beginning stages of childhood and infancy and being a toddler, and then you're going to go stage by stage and stage until you reach this middle age, old age, death, and then you're resurrected. So stage by stage is going to happen. What's the connection between the two? فَلَا أُقْسِمُ بِالشَّفَقِ, that the twilight means that, hey, twilight means like the night is gonna completely take over. Right now it's just a little bit bright outside, it's a twilight, like Maghrib time or whatnot, and we know that the next stage is darkness, and that's what Allah Ta'ala says, وَاللَّيْلِ وَمَا وَسَقَ. He takes an oath by the next stage, which is the night. Then you have what comes after layl, the nahar, the daytime comes, and then actually, yeah, after the layl, there's the next stage after that is the nahar. وَالْقَمَرِ إِذَا اتَّسَقَ, when the moon is full. إِذَا اتَّسَقَ, when it's full, eventually it's going to start waning. It's going to start becoming smaller, so it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. It gets smaller, 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 and then it restarts. So these three are examples of how there is rukub, tabaqan an tabaqin, through all around us. Everywhere we look, the whole entire world is going in like cycle after cycle after cycle. Similarly, this is a proof that you too are in this cycle of the world, and eventually the cycle will shift and become something else, and that is, you'll be resurrected and you'll be standing in front of Allah Ta'ala again. Okay, that was number 16 to 19. Okay. And the centrality of this verse, which is basically the theme of the surah, is that, is there an ayah that highlights this? That's the question I had in the beginning, which I said we'll cover at the end, but might as well just go over it now. This is definitely the theme of the surah. This is like the one ayah that kind of highlights everything, is that we, insan, this is just one stage that we're in. We can't put all of the eggs in one basket, as they say, right? You have to be there, investing in your akhirah as well. Why? Because that's going to be the next stage. Just like how all these different things of that Allah Ta'ala mentioned from 16 to 18. Similarly, you're in this world, it gets difficult to do all the a'mal, it gets difficult to do good deeds, it gets difficult to pray 5 times a day, go to the masjid, give your zakat, fast every Ramadan, all these different things, XYZ, follow all the commandments. But إِنَّكَ كَادِحٌ إِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ, that's the inevitable truth, that you're in a constant toil, that you're on like an escalator that's moving, whether you like it or not. So that's the reality. So you have to deal with it. And the best way to deal with it and the best way to go about it is making sure that we accept the reality and we are doing the most efficient work we can to make sure we have a good outcome of famulaqi, making sure that we have a good outcome when we meet Allah Ta'ala and our deeds. Okay. Basic ahkam of sajda tilawa. Maybe we can start from here on Monday. Today's Friday, yeah, Monday. We have 1 minute left, so yeah, we can just stop here. Inshallah. Alright. Actually, the concept of mushakala. Next point, last thing. Okay, Allah Ta'ala says, فَبَشِّرْهُمْ بِعَذَابٍ أَلِيمٍ. Give them the glad tidings of a painful punishment. I'm going to end off with this. A person's going to be like, why is Allah Ta'ala being childish? Why is he saying, give them glad tidings of like why is he being so like that? I think the word that we would use now is like petty, right? Why is he saying it like this? Because it matches language that they use. What do they do? It matches language that the disbelievers used against the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It matches like it's a rhetorical device, right? That someone says, you know, um, like if someone makes a threat against you, and then like you say, like they say, I'm gonna like beat you up, I'm gonna fight you, and then you say the same thing back to them. I think the same example I use, I'm gonna like if a person uses the same language, they say I'm gonna beat you up. In reality, you're not. Rather, it's gonna that would be considered self defense, right? So that it's really just a using the same language, matching language for the rhetorical benefit that it gives. Similarly, Allah Taala is saying, "Fabashirhum," give them the glad tidings of the hellfire to match the language that they would use as mockery against the Muslims. وَمَكَرُوا وَمَكَرَ اللَّهِ. They they plot and Allah plots. That seems to have like a negative connotation, obviously, right? But it's just again to match the language of you guys think you're so smart, so clever, doing all this planning behind our backs. Like we're prepared too, don't think that we're not prepared. But وَمَكَرُوا وَمَكَرَ Allah, the same language is used for the rhetorical benefit. So we can stop there, inshallah. We just have the Sajda Tilawa stuff to talk about, and then we can continue with Surah Buruj, inshallah. Any questions? No? Okay, inshallah. Sorry for going a little bit over time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.